bright side, Mark, this would have been better than Steven Seagal night, but that'll be another night.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I even ironically wore the appropriate shirt. Like, never in my life did I think my mom would get me an AC/DC shirt for my birthday. Just for this.
Hey, you're dressed for the occasion. The movie we watched tonight was a very green movie. All the walls were green, the clothes were green, the cars were green, the food was green.
All the nature that was green that didn't help. And then the moment they get to America, all the green is hardly there.
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of subtle use of red once they get to America. Green is the UK, red's America.
Yeah,
And when he's touring the world with the singer, by the way, it's quite appropriate that the guy who farts all the time works for number 2, the number 2 singer.
Yeah.
When they're in, like, Europe or something, they're in this old building and it's, like, not green. And you're like, wow, the first scene in the movie where nothing's green.
Yeah,
You know, I kind of missed that in movies, even though it was quite obnoxious in this one. Like, you know, like the Cat in the Hat movie, like...
They have that very, like, bright color palette.
Yeah, where I love the set design in that movie, and, like, I like how bright and colorful it is. The actual, like, content of the movie is questionable, and we can save that for another discussion. But
I mean, that, and you can also say the same thing about what we just watched. And since we didn't say what the title of the movie was yet, we watched the movie Thunderpants. It came out about...
it came out 2002.
A year after Harry Potter, and the marketing shows. This movie stars Ron Weasley, or Rupert Grint is his real name. There's a few other actors that are from Harry Potter, but he's the most notable. Him and, I think, we said it was Goyle from, like, the...
Or was it... No, wait, it is Goyle, I think.
Yeah, it was either Crabbe or Goyle, whichever one. But, like, you can tell that they were really, really stretching to say, hey, we got actors from Harry Potter over here, hey. Like, and, I mean, even, like, the British setting, technically, kind of fits in with that.
Well, they're both British movies. Though, because, like...
this was?
Yeah, well, there's 2 posters for the movie. One where Rupert Grint is in the foreground, and then, but he's as his nerdy character with the curly hair and glasses. But then there was the other poster you showed me where it's literally his Harry Potter face set in the center,
yeah,
big,
like, right in the center. Like, you know, when I remember when I first heard about this movie, I didn't remember the name. I just knew about a farting movie with Ron Weasley in it.
I just seen bits and pieces where it's like the premise is the kid farts a lot, and the whole movie he just farts.
That's a pretty accurate way to describe it.
The dad walks out on his family because he can't stand the farts.
Yeah, the world just like not the world, just the universe like just hates this kid.
Everyone in this movie just hates this kid. And, like, I'm trying to think of a parallel to this with something like Matilda, where, like, just flat the storyline is and how the movie feels stretched out. Like, he goes to the courtyard, he farts the high fart that makes the number 2 soprano singer go, hey, wait a minute. And then he chases him down, like, 15 minutes later into the movie and then goes on tour with him. And, like, I feel like in a tighter script, it would have just happened immediately. Like, there was no reason to drag that out.
Yeah, and, like, I was debating on even going as far as to, like, where he ends up towards the end of the movie, but it's literally in the the description on IMDb, but literally, like, the universe, like, hates this kid to the point where he gets put on death row and, like, is put in front of a firing squad, all because some moron died from a prop malfunction.
Yeah,
that's
not his fault. That would have been like the prop people's fault.
And like even a guy like came into the court and like showed a picture that it was a faulty bolt and that this literally could have happened whenever, and that this whatever happened here just probably was what kicked it.
Do you listen to opera?
Yeah, he doesn't listen to opera, so his opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
and at worst, it would have been like involuntary manslaughter or something. There's no reason they put this child not only on death row but a firing squad, and
only survives because Paul Giamatti shows up and is like, "Sorry, we need to get the right paperwork. It took a while. Anyways, we're America and we're taking him now."
Yeah, and when he's in the car with them, he's like, "Do you mind? Go right ahead, sir." And they all put their gas masks on, and right before Paul Giamatti puts his mask on, you can tell he's like smirking. Like
there were a lot of moments throughout this movie where it looked like you could see like Paul Giamatti make a face, and it feels like you can just tell that he realizes just how idiotic everything is around him, but he's Paul Giamatti, so he's just rolling with it. I mean, that being said, I mean, I'm trying to think of like certain aspects of like, I mean, like you were saying, like the acting is pretty one-dimensional. I mean,
the lead kid is not a great actor. Rupert Grint's a much better actor.
Yeah, and I think that's also added on to why they made sure to highlight on him, because granted, this was from what IMDb said, this was the first movie that this kid's ever done, and I don't really think that was fair to the kid, because why are you gonna put a kid in the leading role in a 10-year-old kid?
He looks like a kid who farts all the time. That's why they cast it.
I mean, okay, sure, but like, this is literally what this kid's gonna be known for the rest of his life, and this movie, like, I'm sorry, but if I was in this movie, I'd be ashamed, kinda. Like, I mean, granted, we've definitely seen much worse, and, like, I laughed more times than I thought I was going to, but unfortunately, I don't really think that says a whole lot. I mean, of course I'm bringing this movie up again, but very similar to The Room with this one. It wasn't really so much the production quality as much as it was like the writing and the acting. I mean,
the acting was much better than The Room.
I agree.
The Room, it's just they cannot act, but in this movie, it's just everyone's performance is over the top.
Yeah, like Rupert Grint's especially, I think, is pretty over the top. And I was gonna mention this earlier, but we mentioned how like Paul Giamatti came in and was like, "Oh, we're the Americans, it's his now." Interesting how when he's like, you know, in Europe, everyone's just horrible to him, and like everyone just like treats him like shit and just like acts as if like the teacher calls him the most disgusting foul creature that's walked the earth, all because he farted in the middle of a prayer. I think it was.
And the bully. Okay, here's the thing I don't understand about the kids, because he farts in class and they're all like, "Ew." I can tell you from personal first-hand experience, when you fart in elementary school, all the kids laugh uncontrollably and can't stop.
Yes. So it really didn't make sense for that. Throughout the whole movie, there's this like little like subplot that's clearly foreshadowing, where he's constantly watching on TV that these astronauts were stranded out in space, and the way the movie was set up, you'd think it took place over like months,
months.
Maybe a year or two.
Because he toured with number 2, and then he was on trial and death row, and then
they had to set up the whole launch at the end.
Got taken by the Americans and had to train for a day.
Yeah, and yet they say at the end it was only 26 days.
Yeah.
Which, the fact that it wasn't even a full month is... I don't want to say it's the most inaccurate thing of the movie. I think the most inaccurate thing was that of all the people in the movie to be nice to him, it was the Americans.
Another inaccurate thing about the movie, Crab or Goyle, I forget which one he is, he always wants to steal his lunch. Now, in all my years of school, I've never seen or heard of someone getting their lunch stolen. There was a lot of trading food items at lunch, but like stealing lunch was never really a big thing for me. Yeah,
the most I had was this kid. I don't even know if I want to, I'm not even gonna bother with his name, but he was someone who in middle school I thought was a friend, but I look back now and was really just an asshole. There were multiple times where he would just steal the soda that I had, and I'm sitting there telling him to give it back and everything. He wouldn't. I would tell one of the teachers just for this guy to look at me and say, "Dude, you get stabbed for being a snitch where I come from," and stuff. And I'm looking back and I'm thinking, dude,
kids say dumb stuff.
Yeah, and that was, again, it's middle school, so I've never seen the stereotype of literally just having an entire lunch stolen.
Yeah. You know who else isn't a good friend of Patrick Smash? Alan, Rupert Grint's character.
No, he really isn't.
I have my problem, but do I have a gift? And he's like, no, you don't have a gift.
Yeah.
Great friend.
That, later on, leaves him. And, even, what was it, just leaves in the middle to go with the Americans first. And it's you could have jumped up and said, hey, can I bring him with me? Because he was also helpful to it.
Yeah, you could have brought that up sooner.
Paul Giamatti did throw in that line about, he just taking us too long to get the paperwork, which just sounds like a very convenient piece of writing to explain, why didn't he just go with before? Yeah,
again, they're trying to stretch the movie.
Yeah, and I can think of, because you were mentioning, I'm trying to think of, examples, other movies that I can compare this to, but I really can't. The only one that I think even comes close to something like this, and just how insane this movie goes from 0 to 100 so quickly, is I don't know why, but the movie North, if you remember that one with Elijah Wood.
Yes, I remember that.
A movie that
with the Eskimos. And
yes.
Bruce Willis in the bunny outfit. That's triggering deep-seated memories for me. I do remember.
I do apologize for doing that, but yeah, I remember seeing that movie and thinking, all right, it's nothing special, it's not great, but all right, it's a cute little movie, cool. I was 12 at that time, and then I look at it now and I'm like, what? And I look at this movie and I'm just like, what? I don't even really I don't even really know how to rate this movie properly.
I don't know how I would have felt about this movie when I was a kid, because when I was 10 or whenever How to Eat Fried Worms came out, I enjoyed that movie at the time. I haven't seen it since, but I feel like even that would be a better movie than this.
Yeah, no, that at least had that, because I remember seeing that movie too, and that movie at least gave you first of all, everyone wasn't a one-dimensional over-the-top character. They all actually, I think their acting was decent.
Yeah.
There was actually there was more than just one punchline throughout the whole movie, which, in case you didn't guess, the one punchline in this movie is farting. And even within like what 10, 20 minutes, we already were just like, all right, let me guess, he's gonna fart, right? That's gonna happen.
There were a couple places where they varied the humor, like he's waiting outside for Rupert Grint to finish building the Thunder Pants, and like he's just sitting on the railing eating snacks, and then it fades, or no, it does like the Star Wars clock wipe or that kind of wipe, and there's more and more trash from snack wrappers building up. And I'm like, okay, that might have just gotten me because it's like a visual gag and something not farts.
And then,
to this movie's little credit, the fart sound design was very good.
Yeah, and like, you know, like again, like the sound design was good in this. The editing, even like that Star Wars transition it worked.
Out of nowhere.
It was out of nowhere, yes, but I mean, considering it was supposed to show passage of time, I think it worked. Yeah, it was a little too noticeable because the movie only ever does that kind of transition then. Yeah. Like, if they did more different ones throughout, then maybe it wouldn't have stuck out as much. But, like...
The movie had a huge missed opportunity because he always says, even though he wants to be an astronaut, he always calls it spaceman. They should have called him an astronaut. Big missed opportunity.
Yeah, I and like that, and just I see here I go again with like struggling as I get where I get just because I don't really know. It's hard because like I really need to word right now, but again, like the movie wasn't as bad as like I thought it was going to be. But at the same time, like, I do still think it's on the bad side, if anything. Yeah. If that makes sense. You were gonna say though.
One thing I just remembered is a lot of references to other movies. They play that song from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and when he throws the spoon, it doesn't even rotate the right way. It twirls like this instead of rotating about the axis like that. And when he chases after Crab or Goyle, again, we can't remember which one, he just like walks after him like Michael Myers.
Yeah, even though like, Goyle's running.
And he's way bigger than him.
Yeah, and that, like, I will say though, like, when they did try to rip off 2001, like, the part that made me laugh was the sisters' reactions.
And beans on toast.
Yeah,
not in that specific scene, but earlier in the movie.
Who enjoys that? Like,
any Brit watching, let us know. Is beans on toast good?
Like, because if it is, how?
I see pictures of it and it looks disgusting.
Yeah, I personally think beans are already disgusting.
Beans are only acceptable on a barbecue, like someone's grilling hot dogs and hamburgers and you might have some hot beans on the side, and that's like the only acceptable setting for beans.
Yeah, and even then, I personally would still not be too thrilled about that part, but I'd be thrilled, like, I would eat that part first just so I could get it out of the way and eat everything else.
I do that too sometimes.
Yeah, because I really don't like beans at all. And I guess that they played I don't want to say they played a big role in the movie, but they were definitely a plot point here and there.
It was the triumphant moment where he has to eat all the bland crackers to try to reduce his flatulence, but then he gets the Thunder Pants and he takes the spoon and spoons it out of his sister's dish and eats it, and it's this victorious moment for him.
Yeah, so victorious that 2001: A Space Odyssey had to be ripped off, but I mean, and interesting, and I mentioned the sister again because, like, she's another actress who's popular. I don't know what... I know her from somewhere. Like, the only thing that comes to mind is maybe she was like Susan in the Narnia movies.
Maybe.
But I can't confirm that.
We think we saw Keira Knightley at one point.
Yeah, I want to say that looked just like her, and I want to say it was, but again, not 100%.
Stephen Fry was the lawyer.
And even then, that court scene was painful too. Like, how do you just like go out of your, how does like the whole planet just go out of their way to hate a kid so much just because he can't control his ass?
Yeah, the teacher, his own headmaster comes up, and she's like, he's the most vile creature I've ever seen.
Yeah, I like, that's a bit extreme. And like, again, like, getting the firing squad out, like, is this movie supposed to take place in 2002, or is it supposed to take place years prior? And even then, like, none of that would make sense still.
It could be possible the script floated around for a while because, like, the president, when he meets him, which is set up really weirdly because they don't want to show his face, but then you see, like, from his nose down, and then you see a wide shot where you see him but far away. So it's like, what was even the point of that? He sounds like Reagan, and then the head of the USSC, because I guess they couldn't get the name NASA, he has a huge bowl of jelly beans on his desk, and Reagan famously loved jelly beans and always had a jar of jelly beans on his desk. So, like, it could be...
Even then, though, because, like, when they had the flying competition earlier in the movie,
that was so weird.
Like, all the adults were sitting there and coming up with these, like, really amateur and quite childish, like, things that, you would have seen... you would have seen adults trying to do this in, like, the 1800s.
Yeah, before the Wright brothers, you see, like, the contraption of the umbrella thing pumping up and down and stuff, and it's like, why do this? And that scene is between him ripping the fart in the courtyard and number 2 hearing him, and him going up to his house and saying, do you want to travel the world with me? Because you again could have tightened the script. It still could have been an hour 27 minutes like it is now, but what they could have done is Rupert Grint is taken away, and then he farts in the courtyard, and then he immediately says, if you tour with me, you'll travel the world and see all the different countries. And he's like, another country, I could find Alan. And then, like, immediately go, and that way you would have more time for the rescue mission at the end, because that felt very, very rushed.
The whole last, like, 20 minutes of the movie felt very rushed. It ends very abruptly, almost as if they didn't even know how to end the movie. I mean, where's the kid gonna live now?
I guess the U.S. government, Uncle Sam, takes care of him.
I guess. They're
taking care of all those kid scientists.
Yeah, that too came out of nowhere. But even that, like, I don't know. I guess it's time to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10.
It like I said, if the script was tighter, I might give it like a 4, but as is, I'm kind of leaning maybe like a 3, because, like, I like some jokes, I like the set design and color palette, even though it's obnoxiously green, but, like, all the characters are so one-dimensional, the humor's one-dimensional, and, like, it's tiring after a while. And after a certain point, your mind just breaks, and you're just like, oh, he farted, but it had some reverb this time.
Yeah, or the time he farted in the bully's face and it just it looked like an atomic nuke in the middle of the woods. Yeah, I'd say I wasn't even sure what to rate this, but honestly, a 3 sounds fair. I yeah, no, like again, the cinematography and editing was okay.
Yeah, it was competently made.
Yeah, it was competently made. A lot better made than, again, movies like The Room and Velocipaster and Cool Cat. It was definitely better made than those, but the writing and the very over the top acting is what really kind of like was a big turnoff for me. I mean, even then, like, fart humor I personally think is a little overrated. I don't really. I mean, I went into this movie thinking I was gonna hate it because I don't care for fart jokes that much, let alone a whole movie's worth. But I mean, there were some aspects that were decent, but overall, it's yeah. And on that note,
If I had one packing, I would have ended this with a fart, but I don't have anything right now. Sorry.
want me to add some effect or something?
Yeah, hold on. Here, you can add right here. Oh yeah.
You just had to.
Yeah. Yeah, you can play around with that in editing.
Yeah.
Give me something like deep and bassy.
Oh. Let's see what I can do. But on that note, thank you guys for watching. You like what you see, you already know what to do. We've said a bunch of times. If you have any requests for any movie we want to watch, let us know as well. I think the last one we had was when I forced Ryan to watch Mother that one time.
Which, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was I think that was the last time somebody commented saying, "Hey, make Ryan do this," and we all saw where that went.
I will say, if you want to watch a good movie with farting in it, watch The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, directed by Robert Eggers.
I definitely really need to watch that.
The farting is only like a very minor plot point, although there are farts in the movie and they are addressed at multiple points in the film. And sometimes, might just be my personal opinion, I think more movies just have to have characters randomly fart in a scene for no reason, just sparingly every once in a while, like they walk out of the room and you just hear like a little fart and like, oh yeah.
You just had to.
Yeah.